Hello, welcome to the video. I'm going to be going over everything I have made in 2025 and also some of my plans for next year. So without further ado, we're going to get started. The first thing I completed in 2025 was this. This is the Wishbone sweater by Kutovakika. I made it in Drops Merino in this navy blue colour. This took longer, like most things I make, than I expected. I think because the whole thing is in twisted rib, including the cables, and it's an all over cable cropped jumper. I am really happy with this. I have worn it quite a bit, but it's not one of those daily wear things I reach for all the time, just because it is it's very elegant. I feel like it's kind of a bit more of a fancy jumper. It's not one that I would necessarily just wear around the house as much. The yarn has pilled pretty badly. You can see, which is a shame because it takes away a bit from that kind of smooth look. I do think this yarn has had a really nice stitch definition. I'm glad I chose this colour, but the pilling is kind of pretty bad. Maybe you can't tell as much because it's in a darker colour and that helps. But yeah, I'm also a bit nervous to use a fabric shaver on some of these things when they've got all these bumpy cables in. I don't know if anybody's got experience with that. I haven't tried doing that yet. So yeah, I don't think I've got a lot more to say about this. I think I always thought I would fold the neck, but actually once you wear it, it's not as high as I thought and it doesn't really bother me. So it's fine. I probably would have liked it slightly less cropped than it is if I could have chosen. And I think that's something I have to learn for next time. I don't love super cropped things. Yeah, I really enjoyed making this one. It was fun. The next thing I made, I've got my notebook here. Oh no, that's the wrong page. The next thing I made was a crochet flower, which we put away for Christmas, so it's in a box somewhere. I don't know where it is. But that was one of my first kind of crochet attempts. I did a crochet class earlier in the year, so getting a little bit into that. That was really fun. It doesn't look great close up, but I would really like to maybe try and do more of that this year. That was a forget-me-not pattern. I'll put a photo up. And it was by Kane Crochet. It was like a free tutorial on YouTube. So that was really fun. I have got more wire and I would, in my head, love to have like a crochet bouquet just for the house. So yeah, I would like to try and make more of them. That was super fun to make. The next thing was this toy snake that I made for my children. I made this with some leftover sock yarn by Paintbox, this kind of self-stripy yarn, which I thought would be cute for the snake. It's from a book that I already have called Knitted Wild Animals by Sarah Keane. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, this was fun. This took, again, longer than I kind of expected and was a little bit boring. I'm not a big fan of making toys, so I probably won't rush to make more toys, I don't think, but it was a good use of the yarn, so it was nice to kind of use a bit of scrap yarn for something as well. The next thing I made was the Audrey cardigan for my daughter. I think this is in size 2 to 3 or 3 or something like that. Here it is. She has worn this absolutely loads. This is again in, oh, it's not very clean, in Drops Merino. Same as this, actually, same yarn. Oddly, this is not pilled nearly as badly, and considering a child has worn it, yeah, so I don't know if that's just, this is plain stockinette, if that makes a difference, I don't know. But this is great. It goes really nicely with dresses because it's got this top opening, so it doesn't like hide it if she's wearing something nice underneath. So I have loved this. And one thing I don't want to be too nervous of next year is to remake patterns. I always feel like I need to do something new, but actually this was a great pattern. I love making it. She's got tons of use out of it. So really it would be great to make this in a bigger size and maybe a different colour. Yeah, no bad things to say about this. Love this pattern. This yarn has worked really well. Obviously because it's superwash, I'm conscious my kids get the itch pretty easy. So it's been amazing. Loads of use out of this, great. The next thing was a top for myself, a summer top. The Darjeeling blouse by Trust the Mojo. I used a cotton cashmere yarn by Katia Yarns. I think it was 10% cashmere, and I love this yarn. I think when I've worked in 100% cotton, I found it a little bit annoying, but the 10% cashmere really made a difference. I've worn this loads over the summer as soon as it was finished. This has not pilled in the slightest. Obviously it's cotton, but it's also kept its shape really well. This just goes with everything. I love the colour I chose. I think it's called beige, and that's it. I really enjoyed making it. I made a mistake with the lace. I did my yarn overs the wrong way round, so the holes are not very obvious. The holes in the lace work should be much more obvious than they are. However, it still turned out great, and I know I'm going to wear this loads again this year. So really enjoyed this make. Lovely pattern to make, especially if I had actually done it correctly. Yeah, so that's the Darjeeling blouse. The next thing is a bit more crochet. I decided to try, again using a bit of scrap yarn, to make my daughter a crochet cardigan using like the hexagon method. So I made 2 hexagons, kept making them, and then I added a bit extra on in this green yarn. And I love the way the colours look together. I enjoyed doing a crochet make. I quite enjoyed not following a full pattern. I followed a pattern just for the hexagon to get it started, like a free how to make a hexagon kind of thing, and then I made it up. It does look very cute on her. I'd say the sleeves are a bit short, which was okay because it was intended like a summer kind of jacket, but the fit is a bit funny. I think that's the thing with using like a basic hexagon thing. You're never going to get a perfect fit for somebody. So yeah, she hasn't worn it a ton. I think it is very pretty, and it's probably going to be a bit too small for her by spring, summer. So not loads of use out of this, but I love the colour combo. Yeah, and it was fun to make. So I would crochet something again. I don't know if I'm as a big fan of crochet garments as I am of like homeware and things like that. But yeah, that's that. Oh, and the yarn for that was Sirdar, can't say that word, Sirdar Snuggly yarn, which is British yarn. Yeah, and it's an acrylic yarn, I think. I don't think it has wool in it. Yeah, next thing that I made is the Audrey jacket by Cocoamour Knitwear. Here it is. This is in drops boucle and drops air for the edging. And then I actually just bought these, I think even off Amazon. I spent so long looking for buttons from nice independent places and in shops, and I just couldn't find what I was looking for. So I ended up getting these. Which are really nice. One of my favourite things about it. The yarn, I'd say I've worn this quite a lot. It's very wearable because it's cosy, but it kind of feels a bit luxurious when you wear it. Super comfy yarn, but I think it's not held up amazing. This is another thing where I'm not sure whether to use a fabric shaver because of the boucle. I feel like am I just going to shave off the actual yarn? And again, it kind of blends into the fluffiness. But I do feel like it's slightly, it's taken away a bit from that elegant look because it just looks a bit more worn quite quickly, I feel. It doesn't look new anymore. And these buttons, I also have had to re-sew them twice. There are 2 I've not done yet, and they're definitely on the verge of falling off. And second time I did give them a little button at the back. So I should have done that first time, which I knew I was just being lazy. So next time I make a cardigan, I'm just going to go ahead and put that little button on. It definitely makes it more secure. But yeah, that's it. I feel like it goes with loads of my clothes. I've worn it lots. Super comfy. I did have to size up half a needle size to hit gauge for this, and then it was fine. So yeah, that's the Audrey jacket. I felt like I hadn't knit much this year, and now I'm going through it. I feel like actually I did get quite a lot done, which is nice. So the next thing I did was my first ever test knit. That was the Quiet Season sweater by ViTalina Craft. Here it is for my daughter. This is age 3 to 4, I think. This for the yarn I use knitting for Olive, fine merino and silk mohair in 2 different shades of pink, I think. Can't remember what they were called. One was Dusty something, one was maybe Daisy something. I can't remember. I'll pop it in the description box, but here it is. The test knit was really fun. Actually, this jumper she has worn this an absolute ton. It's just the yarn itself. I definitely am a Knitting for Olive fan because this combination that I hadn't done before is amazing. There's 0 pilling. I think the mohair helps with that, but it's still really soft. It just looks great, I think. She's worn this loads and it looks the same as when I finished it. The pattern I think is really nice as a basic jumper. It's got this, I've forgotten what you call it, where you knit one row and then do ribbing for one row feature, which is really nice. I found that the sleeves ended up for me a bit narrower than I probably would have preferred, but actually when she's wearing them it looks fine. They're not too tight, you don't notice. I had a few issues with my neckline of it being too tight, so I did make some alterations. I cast on an extra 4 stitches. I didn't knit it quite as high as the pattern suggested because it was quite a high sitting neckline. Then I did a Jenny's, is it her? The surprisingly stretchy bind off anyway, and then it ended up too loose. So after all that, I ended up putting a bit of elastic in just to hold it in place. But it does mean it's really comfy to wear. Yeah, and it's nice and roomy on her, so hopefully I'll get another year or so wear out of this. So I would definitely recommend this. I think the neckline was more of a me issue, to be honest, than anything else. And I think if you followed it, I would just recommend a stretchy bind off, and then I think it would be fine. So yeah, that's the Quiet Season sweater, which is out now. The next thing was my skirt. Skirt number 1 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. This was so much fun to make. I used a tweed wool yarn that I bought from a shop in York, so I'm not exactly sure what it was called, combined with a mohair silk, and both yarns had a bit of acrylic or viscose or something in. And here it is. I've worn this a ton since finishing. I get compliments on this skirt all the time because I think it's just a bit unique. It's not something you would buy from the shops very easily. Everybody asks me where I got this skirt, and then I get to say I made it, which is obviously really fun. This knit up really quick. It was really straightforward, fun knitting. I really enjoyed making this. It went much faster than I expected, and yeah, I just loved this and I love wearing it. This was just perfect for me. Everything about it is great. I modified the sizing, so I was in between sizing, but she tells you how to do that in the pattern, and the fit for me is perfect. So yeah, this is amazing. I would highly recommend skirt number 1. And then the final thing that I completed was the zipper sweater junior for my son. I think this is age 5 to 6 or something like that. I just finished this. He's worn it once, so it's just been washed for the first time. I made this in Drops cotton merino blend, and I would say this yarn is perfect for my son and my husband because I'm making another one for him, because neither of them like the woolly feel, and I know my husband doesn't really like the woolly look. He prefers this kind of smoother look, so I think the yarn was a good choice for that. The tricky thing for me was when I had to change skeins. This is a very hard yarn to join because it's cotton. Even if you tie a knot, it's just really difficult to not leave any trace of the join. I'm trying to find a place where you can see it because there are plenty of places where you can see it. Where one of the joins is, there's one. Yeah, it was just really hard not to get a little area where you could see it, but that's probably me. I'm doing a bit better, I think, with my husband's. I've improved a bit with that, but yeah, this was really fun to make. I really like the construction. It looks so smart on him, really comfy. He's very happy with it straight away. The zip I had to do twice, which doesn't surprise me. The first time I sewed the tape too close to the knitting, so when I zipped it up it was catching, so I had to undo it all and start again, which at the time was frustrating, but it's a learning curve and I've definitely learned a lot from installing it. It's gone a bit wonky. You can see it's a bit like a banana. This bottom bit goes ooh that way, but actually once it's on, it's not too obvious, and it wasn't enough to make me want to do it again. I think at least I get another try with my husband's and I'll try and make that one straighter. I did hand stitch it in. I thought I might use my sewing machine, but once it came to doing it, I do not understand how I could get that accurately enough at all. Yeah, so well done if anybody that has used a machine to sew it in. Yeah, really enjoyed this, and I'm on my second one now, which I haven't finished. I have done the body, the whole body. I did cast off. I used Italian bind off, and then I tried to get my husband to try it on last night, and he couldn't get the bottom bit over his body because I have cast off too tightly. So I'm just beginning to undo all my Italian bind off. I feel like it took me like, oh, it felt like hours to do this bind off, and now it's going to take me even longer to unpick it because it's not the easiest thing to unpick. And I did 2 rows of double knitting, so picking up the stitches is a bit awkward because of where they're sitting. So I'm not really looking forward to this job, and I've made this mistake before, so I don't know how I did this again, but I did. So there we go, it is what it is. I'm going to unpick and cast off again, stretchier. So yeah, once that's done, I've just got the sleeves to go and the zip, but I will be putting this to the side because my final, oh, I've missed something. I've missed my cushion. Yeah, I will go back to that because I also finished my Stella quilt cushion by Laura Penrose. I started this the year before, so it was been ongoing for a while, and I think in last year's video I said I wanted to finish this, and I did. So that's the front, the actual pattern that I used, and then the back I did a randomised pattern. I joined in with a knit along by Will You Look at Mella, I think that's what she's called. It was a random knit along. Most people were doing jumpers, but I did this. So I randomly calculated up to 6 rows, the number of rows I would do. Was it 6 or 8? I can't remember. I think it was 6 anyway. And which colour I would use, all from this front bit. And actually I was dreading making the back of this cushion, honestly, and then it turned out to be one of the most fun things I knit, and I really love the way it turned out. So this is downstairs now. Yeah, looks really striking, looks really nice. Really happy with that, but I won't make it again because this felt, for me, it just felt epic. I don't know why, these squares just took me forever. Yeah, so that's the cushion. So back to my jumper for my husband. Unfortunately, he's going to have to wait because I'm going to firstly do my boring job, and then I'm going to set it aside because I have another test knit actually that I've been asked to do. This one is by, I'm not sure how to say her name, Anna Neulet, maybe someone can correct me. I think she's Finnish designer, and it's a jumper that is going to be in Lane magazine in August, so I can't share anything about it really, other than I'm doing it. I'm going to use this Drops Air pink, and I'm going to make it for my mum, so I will be making a video of this, but I won't release it till August. So that's hopefully going to cast that on before the new year. It's the 28th today, so if that takes me a day or so, which probably will, then I'll be casting on this next. And I think that takes us on to my plans for next year. So my first plan for next year is this test knit. It's such a lightweight yarn, but I did overbuy because I was a bit nervous about having enough. But if I have enough left, I would really like to make the unicorn sweater. And who's that by Wool and Beyond for my daughter. She actually has a lot of knitwear, but it's just so cute and I know she would love it. And I actually happen to have this little amount of Drops Air left in like the beige and the blue, so I thought combined actually that would be really nice for that jumper, and I keep seeing it and thinking how cute it would be for her. She's very into unicorns now, so I think she would like that. So yeah, that's one plan. Most of my plans are with yarn I already have. I'd like to try and use up a bit of yarn this year if I can. So another plan I have with the yarn I already have is this Drops Nord I have. This is a lovely like teal greeny blue colour with a white, and I saw the Songbird mittens by Erica Huyser, and I just think they are stunning. I've got a pair of mittens that I made by and I've forgotten her name, but she does books called Knit Like a Latvian. And I've got a pair of mittens that I bought a kit actually when I was in Latvia, and I wear them every single day on the school run, and I love them. So I feel like I would like another pair of that style of mitten. So yeah, I think this would be really nice. So I'm going to make those mittens, hopefully still this side of winter, and not for next year. And then I think my other plans really are, I would like to try, after this test knit, which is another deadline, I would like to try and not have deadline knitting as little as possible and take things at my own pace, because I think sometimes I've been pushing myself to knit more or knit faster, which is really not what it's about. So I think I want to challenge myself in different ways. I'd like to do some more involved knitting, more colour work like these mittens, more texture work. I'd like to do more lace because I know I really enjoy making lace, doing lace patterns. So I'd like to do maybe more involved knitting but less deadline, more time, as well as using my own stash. And I think I'd like to do some smaller projects, because actually smaller projects obviously naturally lend themselves to me using the wool I already have. But also if I'm doing more involved things, I think a smaller scale will be nice to keep me involved. I would also like to do a bit more crochet. I'm definitely still a knitter at heart, that is my #1 thing. However, that flower I made, I would really like to do another bouquet and maybe some other kind of homeware things that I've seen that I really like. And the only thing I can think of is, it's a long way off, but next Christmas I've seen people doing kind of advent items for their children, or like for the family, and I really like that idea. But again, I don't want to be on a super tight deadline. So when we get to next winter, I think I'd really like to either make like a knitted nativity scene or Christmas decorations. I made a few star decorations for crackers this year, and that was really fun. So maybe some kind of Christmas crochet knitted daily, or even maybe not daily, thing for next year would be nice. So they are my plans. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please feel free to share what your knitting plans are or what your favourite things are that you made this year. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!